Hey guys, we're back again, and this time we're talking about blind spots. We all know what blind spots are. Physiologically, a blind spot is a small area at the back of our retina that is insensitive to light. In driving school, we learned that blind spots are areas that we can't see while we're driving, especially when we're turning a corner or trying to get into a tight parking spot. So we know that blind spots are areas that we can't see and we are not aware of. Similarly, there are blind spots in our life that we are not aware of. So when we talk about strengths and weaknesses, most of us are generally aware of our strengths. I remember going into an interview once and a HR director actually asked me, "Tell me some of your weaknesses." I was caught off guard and I couldn't give her an answer immediately. And I hope she didn't think I was arrogant to think that I don't have any weaknesses. We all do. While we are more aware of our weaknesses, of our strengths, our weaknesses in fact can be the key to unlocking our potential to get better at relationships, improving our work performance, deepening our connections, and achieving greater things if we are aware of them and put the effort to improving on it.
So, blind spots in our life are personal traits, characteristics, ways of thinking, and attitudes that we don't even know about that may limit the way we act, see life, see people, perceive things. And it limits our potential and may even be the source of some issues in our life. So, if blind spots are so lethal, why don't we get rid of them? It's not as easy as it sounds. Identifying blind spots take intentionality, humility on our part, and the right people in our lives. The only way to identify these blind spots are to cast light on it and to put a mirror on it. What do we mean by that? It means we have to do the following three things. Firstly, have trusted friends and families or even mentors who are willing to tell us the truth even though it's ugly. Oftentimes, this doesn't happen naturally. We have to intentionally ask for feedback. If you're working with a team, initiate things like a 360-degree feedback loop where you give as well as you receive feedback from your bosses as well as those who you are leading. On a personal level, with your spouse, a partner, or a close friend, ask them this question: is there anything about me that I don't seem to see but is obvious to you? If you have kids, play a simple game with them and ask them to give you 5 words, or maybe 3, to describe you.
The second thing is this: watch for patterns in your life that are recurring. It could be a failed relationship, excitement over new projects, but the inability to complete them, leadership barriers that you keep bumping into when you're trying to bring your team up to the next level, indecisiveness in making big decisions, or you're constantly feeling stuck. Well, you get the picture. When you start identifying these patterns, then you need to take one step further and examine what your emotions and thoughts are. Thoughts and emotions are both in the same basket. Before we feel a certain way, we think a certain way. So there may be things that you are saying to and about yourself that is not true and not validated. We need to keep track on that. Now, there are umpteen self-help gurus out there that have a bunch of tools to unlock this, but we won't go into that. What we want to leave you with is a spark to get this process started. It really starts with you wanting to improve. The late author and neurologist Oliver Sacks actually wrote about a man who was blind from childhood, and this man later had an operation to restore his sight around the middle age. And when he was blind, he was so certain that gorillas and humans were the same kind. But when he could finally see with his eyes, he saw a live gorilla standing next to a man, and the difference became immediately clear. And this is a funny story of how sometimes we seem to be dead certain about something, but in actual fact, it's so far from the truth.
And finally, give yourself time to recognize these blind spots and get better at maneuvering life with the awareness of it. We all want to improve and be better versions of ourselves, not someone else's. In fact, the final but most effective way of identifying our blind spots, in our opinion, is to speak to God and read His Word. As a Christian, there is a particular verse that speaks powerfully about this topic, and I'm going to read from Ephesians chapter 4, verse 23 to 24 from the AMP version. It says, "And be continually renewed in the spirit of your mind, which means to have a fresh, untarnished mental and spiritual attitude, and put on the new self, which is the regenerated and the renewed nature, created in God's image, in the righteousness and holiness of the truth, which means to live in a way that expresses to God your gratitude for your salvation. The best part about coming to God about this is that He not only helps shed light into our thoughts, patterns, and emotions, He changes our heart. Blind spots are not hard to identify if we actually seek out for them. Let's never cease to learn, unlearn, relearn, because there is always room for improvement.
We hope that you learned something today. We did, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.